Well, I can tell you here in California, we're ready for someone that's going to support law enforcement. Kamala Harris and law enforcement in California, we're very familiar with her and how she has done over the course of years as a senator and as a prosecutor and as the attorney general. And I can tell you that this ad is deceiving, to say the least. I remember this particular case where we did a drug cartel or a drug trafficking organization where we worked with DEA. And the issue was that in this particular situation, she showed up for a soundbite. She didn't shake anyone's hands, and she quickly left the briefing room. So for me in law enforcement to see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented as standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris. She has a history of not supporting law enforcement. And I just wanted to come out and say that for me in Tulare County, the sheriff of Tulare County, looking out for victims, looking for someone who's going to support criminal justice and law enforcement, that is best represented by Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris.
We got to look at this very disingenuous ad here today, fellas. Kamala Harris dropped a new ad, and it's kind of mind-boggling because the last 3.5 years, she has been dubbed the border czar. Now, that's not just by right-wing media. That's by left-wing media. They have been blaming her for everything that's been going wrong at the border. Even Joe Biden called her the border czar. It's on video. It's on tape. No reason to question that. Day one, Joe Biden peeled back these things Donald Trump had in place, the Trump travel ban, remain in Mexico policy. He started tearing down the border wall itself. Anyway, there's a sheriff who was upset with Kamala because he was depicted as being a Kamala Harris supporter, which he says that he's not. Crazy, right? Anyway, I'm Buzz Brown Conservative. Let's go.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
So Kamala Harris trying to flip the script on her border record. And one sheriff that is in that ad is outraged as she uses his image to do so. Tulare County, California Sheriff Mike Boudreaux joins us now. So Sheriff, when you saw that ad and that she was representing you as an endorsement, what was your reaction?
Well, I can tell you here in California, we're ready for someone that's going to support law enforcement. Kamala Harris and law enforcement in California, we're very familiar with her and how she has done over the course of years as a senator and as a prosecutor and as the attorney general. And I can tell you that this ad is deceiving, to say the least. I remember this particular case where we did a drug cartel or a drug trafficking organization where we worked with DEA. And the issue was that in this particular situation, she showed up for a soundbite. She didn't shake anyone's hands, and she quickly left the briefing room. So for me in law enforcement to see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented as standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris. She has a history of not supporting law enforcement. And I just wanted to come out and say that for me in Tulare County, the sheriff of Tulare County, looking out for victims, looking for someone who's going to support criminal justice and law enforcement, that is best represented by Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris.
You know, it's remarkable.
Woo, man, this sheriff is just on it right here. That is Donald Trump, not Kamala Harris. And he's right, because Donald Trump has been tough on crime. He's been tough on damn near everything. You remember Baghdadi blew him up with a missile? He's been serious. You don't mess with Donald because he put it to you. All right, when it came to the border, he had the Trump travel ban. He had the border wall being put up, which was a fight tooth and nail because we can't have a border, apparently. Every illegal can come across the border, nonchalant, and cry asylum and have a kid that may or may not be theirs, and then they get stuffed in the cage, and it's Donald Trump's fault, even though Obama was the one who built these cages. And he's the one who deported more illegals than Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's the enemy here. Donald Trump's the bad guy here. He did everything wrong, and I was doing everything right. Right, Kamala? 3.5 years, apparently been doing it wrong. You've been dubbed the border czar by everyone. The news media, Joe Biden, everybody, man.
Sheriff, because I've never heard of a politician go in amongst a group of voters or other elected officials, law enforcement, and not shake their hand. But part of the spin, people in the media or people that support Kamala Harris, they're saying that she's changed. Do you believe Kamala Harris has changed on the issue of the border and the cartel?
Well, I mean, I have to go along with what history shows, and history with her record does not show that she's supportive of any type of law enforcement agency. She's not supportive of a secure and strong border. It's evident when we have untold amounts of fentanyl cartels right here in my county that we have worked to dismantle, along with human trafficking that takes place up and down the state of California, right across the border. When she was the attorney general, that could have been secured. It wasn't. Her as vice president could have made moves to secure that. It wasn't. So I would say that we have to go on a track record. And the track record is not conducive or supportive of anything that she's saying within that ad.
Real quickly, Sheriff,
if we can remember, the Democrats have always been about defunding the police because it's racist. Because the police are the reason why these criminals are getting locked up and getting shot. They didn't do nothing wrong. We got to get rid of the police. They the problem. They did this in California and some of these other blue states, and everyone's chanting about the police is the problem. It's not the criminals. It's not the youth. You know, you got the youth driving on crazy, running over sheriffs and having these shootouts, killing each other. And they're not the problem. It's the police. We need less police. Turn around, and then they start wanting to fund the police all of a sudden. Well, why is that? Because the police are there to help you. They're not there to hurt you. Even though there are a few bad apples, I'm not gonna lie, there are some bad guys in the police force who don't deserve to have a gun and a badge, but overall, they are there for our protection. That's why they heavily in the poor communities, these black and brown communities. They need to be heavy in there. The residents will tell you, we need more police here. I'm tired of getting robbed. I'm tired of getting my stuff jacked. I can't even go outside with a chain or a watch on. I can't have nothing nice. Because all these fools be jacking me. Yeah, and of course they would not shake these people's hands because these are the people that go out on TV, just like this man right here is, to tell them that Kamala is a fraud. We know what's going on at the border. And she comes over here, she don't even shake our hand. She don't say thank you for your hard work. She don't do none of that because she don't like us because we go and talk about their BS. Their bologna sandwiches are trying to feed to every American who is going to be voting for Kamala and Tim. They feeding them that bologna sandwich right now with this ad they're putting up right now, trying to pick this man, the sheriff, as being someone who supported her. And that's all false. He's telling us right here.
Criticism that I've heard, even former staffers that have gone, they won't provide their name, but they say when they're doing briefings with her that she's not aware of the topics, she doesn't read the briefing books. Just with your experience with Kamala Harris when she was AG, did she seem to understand what was happening at the time?
Well, in the particular case that we were there in that video clip, she did not fully have all the information. But having said that, the Attorney General here in California goes through thousands of cases. I mean, I can't criticize her for not being directly briefed on many cases. But in that particular case, it seemed as if she had received a last-minute briefing.
Yeah. Sheriff, someone that knows Kamala Harris, that is in the state that she once represented, Sheriff Boudreaux, thank you so much for joining the program.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day.
Wonder if they're going to take that ad down now that the sheriff is saying, hey, he does not support her. All right, we'll be following.
I ain't taking nothing down. They're not taking no ad down because they don't give a hoot about what the sheriff says. They just care about who they can trick into believing that she's tough on the border. She's tough on crime. She's all about funding the police. Even though the last 4 years, that's not been her and Joe. They sat there and watched cities burn and riots break out. And then they got the media talking about, oh, it's mostly peaceful. You know what I'm saying? George Floyd, he's a good man. He's great. He depicts all the minorities as being great people who don't commit crimes. And when they do and they get killed or overdose, that it wasn't their fault. It was the police's fault. Even though that's not necessarily true. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's move on to this article here. Kamala Harris is the architect of America's last border policy. The border crisis of the last few years foreshadows what we can expect if Kamala Harris assumes the Oval Office. In the last 4 years, she has not been critical on the border whatsoever. The sheriff told you she didn't even want to shake their hands or look at them or take the briefing seriously. None of that. She's all nonchalant. She didn't give a dang. Now that Kamala Harris has become the Democrat presidential nominee, she and her campaign are desperately trying to convince the American people that the policies of the Harris-Wallace administration will look dramatically different than the current administration's failures. So you failing right now, but it's going to be different. I don't get it. You can do something right now. You're the vice president right now. Oh, the next administration, it's going to be different. We got Tim Walz here. Obviously. Take the Biden-Harris administration, self-inflicted border crisis, where candidate Harris recently claimed at a campaign event that if elected president, she would fight for strong border security. Quote, this tough talk is a veneer that crumbles under scrutiny. For 3.5 years, Vice President Harris has served as the administration's border czar under the leadership. This is the first administration in our nation's history to actively take steps to undermine the border security. Yeah, day one, that's exactly what Joe Biden was doing, repealing all the stuff Trump did to tighten up the border. But no, we got like 10, 15,000 illegals come across the border. It's completely fine, right? The American people should not be fooled by the tough rhetoric on the campaign trail. Instead, the results of the last few years foreshadow what we can expect if Harris assumes the Oval Office. It's just going to be rinse and repeat. This is exactly what this is. Fresh new faces for the job. Rinse and repeat. Here's a reminder of some of the most radical border policies that Harris devised to detriment the American people and the benefit of the Mexican drug cartels and human traffickers. On day one, the Biden-Harris administration created a historic humanitarian security crisis. There were a series of intentional policy decisions, including ending the Trump administration's successful Remain in Mexico policy, imposing a 100-day deportation freeze on all illegal aliens, including criminals, and implementing a nationwide catch and release policy that guaranteed illegal aliens would be allowed into American communities. And we've seen the result of that. We've seen how that's working out. In total, the Biden-Harris administration took 94 executive actions within the first 100 days to dismantle the proven American first policies of the Trump administration. An unprecedented surge of illegal immigration followed. Thus far, more than 10 million illegal aliens have been encountered entering the country unlawfully, plus nearly 2 million known gotaways who evaded Border Patrol agents and have disappeared into the American communities. Recent claims by the Biden-Harris administration that their policies are working and illegal immigration is lower than when President Trump left office are blatantly dishonest. More illegal aliens have crossed into our country every month since March 2021 than the worst month during Trump's administration. So there you have it, folks. Kamala Harris is just lying. It's just another ploy to get more voters to vote for her. You've not been tough on the border 3.5 years, and you've been charged with that. You've been dubbed the border czar. People are getting killed. Americans are getting killed. They siphoning our tax dollars. But we're going to rinse and repeat in this new administration because now you're the president. We've seen how you handled this. You didn't handle this right, unfortunately. I wish you would have handled it better, but you just didn't. You didn't take it seriously. You're dishonest and corrupt, in my opinion. Not good. Anyway, I'm Buzz Brown Conservative. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Peace.